Finally, after so many, like Aishwarya, Vivek, Shripad, Usha with us. And guys, be interactive. Please ask your doubts. Make sure that you going to get a lot of value from this session. At the same time, make sure to make your notes.
Give me 1 minute.
श्रीपाद 24th को रख सकते हैं क्या सेशन एक?
हाँ बिल्कुल शाम में अगर टाइम मिला तो।
श्रीपाद आप बहुत ज्यादा मोटिवेटेड हो यार.
वो करना ही पड़ेगा।
बिल्कुल 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 बिल्कुल.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right. I hope you guys are doing well. Today's session is going to be around a bit of measurement of what your users are doing. So, what is it that you should be doing in order to track your users, or how do you measure how your users are doing? Like, you might have users who are very engaged with you. They don't need much effort because they're already enjoying your product, or your product is really useful for them. But at the same time, there might be users who kind of explored your product, but then they dropped off, or they're on the verge of dropping off, or they were a very frequent user. They were doing a lot of purchases, or they were coming to your application quite a bit, but then now they are not. How do you target all these different kinds of different cohorts or segments which are there? So let's start with cohort analysis. I hope my audio is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, great. So cohort is essentially you create a group of users and they have some common activity during a time frame. So for example, I can say as a Hotstar or GeoTV product manager that users who watched a cricket match on December 5th, and I'll make a cohort of all these guys who came to watch a cricket match on that day. So there is a commonality that they watched the match, or they watched a few minutes of the match, maybe 30 minutes or whatever time frame I've set. And the time frame is that it's the date we have selected, the match date, basically. And then that can be a cohort. And what I can do later by creating such a group, right? Say I have another cricket match coming in the consecutive week or a month later. Since I've already created this cohort, I can do a push notification campaign that, hey, we have a cricket match coming on X date. You can come and watch this. Or I can create an email campaign around it and again try to get them to come to the platform on that date. Because the more there's engagement going from my side or the product side to the user, it's easy for them to understand, okay, there is a match. They might not be, let's say, up to date with news, and we are reminding them that this is happening on a platform and they can come and watch it. So even if they had a question like, where can I catch XYZ cricket match which is happening? But because we're already telling them that we are going to be showing this, they can come to our platform and watch it. So you run a lot of engagements with push notifications, SMS, email campaigns, and you target cohorts based on what is happening inside your application. So, like another example could be, say, I created a cohort of Big Boss viewing users who watched Big Boss across the month where it was playing. Okay. And finally, the Big Boss finale is coming, and I really want a spike in the users who are coming to watch this. I want, it doesn't make sense for me to target my entire user base because there could be users who are coming to my platform to watch news. There could be users who are coming to my platform to watch wrestling. There could be people who are coming to my platform to watch other sports, which is not really synced with the Big Boss content. So ideally, you only want to target the Big Boss users, and you would try to target that cohort and then engage them with some kind of marketing campaign, be it push email, so that they come and watch that Big Boss finale on your platform. That's how you would do a like cohort targeting. And the analysis, as I mentioned, you can take a look at these examples. So you put 10,000 users in cohort A based on the fact that they consume 30 minutes of IPL content on day one. Similarly, you made a cohort of 10,000 users and you called it cohort B, and they had consumed 30 minutes of GEC content. So GEC is general entertainment, so something like Kumkum Bhagya, Nagin, and those ones. They also have a huge user base, so you decide to create a separate cohort for them as well. And then eventually, when the future programs of your GEC are coming out or your IPL are coming out, you can individually target these cohorts because you have already saved them in the tool you're using. So some popular tools that you can use for this could be something like CleverTap or other marketing engagement tools that will allow you to create these cohorts within your tool itself. You can simply put a very simple query like give me users who did X. X will be watching IPL on Y. Y can be your date or time frame. And then you'll get a list of different users and you simply save that as a cohort. So why do cohort analysis? So instead of targeting the entire user base, you are able to break it into smaller cohorts and you can, let's say, more efficiently target users. So a cricket user is not gonna come to your platform to watch Big Boss. It's very unlikely because they are a sports fan, which is what you have kind of derived from their usage behavior, or maybe the number of minutes that they've come to your platform to watch something. So it makes sense to be efficient in your targeting, actually target cohorts who are relevant to what you are promoting. So taking that Big Boss finale example, it makes sense for me to target users who in the past have come and watched Big Boss. Secondly, it lets you optimize experiences. So now take this example. Across a month, you observe that the number of GEC users in your platform, GEC is general entertainment. Again, taking a GeoTV Hotstar example here, it's kind of stagnating. It's at the same level, but you end up seeing a good boost in your numbers whenever there's a cricket match happening. So, is it possible for you to improve that cricket match experience for a user? So, what we have tried before is we added a scorecard over there below the cricket video which is playing. So, user can look at the scorecard and they can watch the match also. We also added some gamification inside the video player itself. So, our users can predict what's going to happen in the next ball. And it's like a mini game, allowing us to try to hook the user more on the platform. So these are the things you can do once you have done some kind of cohort analysis and you know that, okay, there's a good reception that I'm getting from this cohort. Can I add some features around that to improve the experience further? Similarly, for something like a GEC, let's take an example of KBC, right? Kaun Banega Crorepati. So this used to be a very big show. And I remember one of the first engagements that came around this was you as an audience could also answer the question which was going on live on the mobile app itself. So this is a way that you have optimized the experience of those GEC or KBC viewers. Let's just ask specific questions, analyze relevant data, and take action. So if you take a look at your data holistically, it's usually going to have a very, if you're a mature platform, then it's going to have a very mature or steady pattern. You won't see much of ups and downs. If you're a growing platform, then you will see some level of growth which is constantly coming. But when you do see abnormalities, right, how do you actually address them or find out what happened? So if I was to take a look at the day on day data of people watching content in maybe count of minutes on a Hotstar or GeoTV. And I noticed that on December 5th, there is a spike. So my number is higher by 30% compared to all the other days. Then what happened on that day? So if you are obviously actively engaged on the platform, you would know something like, okay, there was a cricket match that day. That's why my numbers had gone up so much. And then you can take that further. You know that there's a good cricket audience coming to you. Can you optimize further for them? Can you target them with marketing campaigns? Take some kind of action on that. This we covered in a bit of a detail earlier. You can customize the targeting for cohorts. Big Boss viewers can be targeted with Big Boss show notifications, or cricket viewers can be targeted with cricket related notifications, and so on and so forth. Is there any question in this, or shall we proceed?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is a example cohort analysis for a streaming app. So if you see for sports, the genre sports, on day zero, the number is 25 million. Day one, it's 5 million. Day two, it's 4 million. Day three, it's 6 million. And day four, it's 10 million. So there's a huge spike on day zero. So looking at this, I could probably derive that, okay, there was an important sports event happening on that day. And that's why the number of users that day is far higher than all my other days. Similarly, in GEC, if we look at the days over here, on day four, there's a spike. So again, we can derive that on day four, there was an important TV show or a premiere movie or something on those lines which came out. Like I remember, I can tell you some of my experiences in GeoTV where we saw huge spikes. In GEC, we saw a spike once when Narendra Modi and Bear Grylls episode came out. So for some reason, there was a huge interest in that. So there was a spike on the platform. Then there was one instance when in 2019, last year, around May, the election results were coming out. So we saw a huge spike in news. The numbers were something on these lines, if you can imagine. So all these events which keep happening on a TV platform, they're very important, right? You want to actively engage with your users and try to get more of them on your platform and consume content. Now, the similar thing, if we step away from TV platform and let's say we talk about a shopping platform like Amazon, you guys must have seen the number of marketing campaigns that they're running for their big sales which come. They try to keep sending notifications, they try to keep sending emails, they also try to remind you if you have left items in your cart or if you've added something in your wish list and then you didn't really action on that item in your wish list. Maybe the price of that item in your wish list drops. So they notify you of that to try to tempt you to come and buy something. So another way where cohort analysis is very important is when you want to do a kind of retention check, you know. So retention is often a number many companies chase because it's definitely a very hard thing to do. You can make a good pipeline of new users coming in by means of SEO, ASO, run amazing marketing campaigns. But what if the users don't stick? They try your app, maybe they tried the first day, second day, and then they just drop off. They're not interested anymore. That's not what you want. Ideally, you want to keep accumulating users. The reason that all our giants like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram are big is not because the users left them. It's because they became loyal to them and stuck to that platform. When users are not loyal to a platform, then there's something missing. And you as product managers have to work on that. So now, what is a sign that users are not sticking to your platform? You would look at something like this retention percentage number. So let me give you a brief of how this works, right? On Jan 25, 1098 users came, and this is counted as day zero. Okay. On Jan 26, 33% of these 1098 users came back. And on day two, which is Jan 27, 23.5% of these 1098 users came back. So this number always drops. And usually in your fourth week, for average apps, it's, I would say, between 0 to 15%. For really good apps, something like a Netflix, it's around 33%, 40% or more, maybe, you know. So you would look at your day 28 retention percentage, and it'll give you a cue over there that, okay, my retention percentage is really low. That means that maybe I am bringing a good number of users in terms of new users. I'm not able to retain those users. I'm losing them. So you would do analysis over here, like why is it that you're losing them? Is it that the experience on your app is poor? Is something in your experience turning them off so they go somewhere else? Is your app not competitive enough with other platforms? So for example, someone comes to try Netflix in their free month trial, and maybe they also try Amazon Prime, and they notice that Amazon Prime's catalog is not as good as the Netflix catalog when they tried. Then finally, if they had to buy a plan, they actually go and finalize on Netflix because they preferred that catalog better. So this is where Amazon would have lost its competitor. And then Amazon should ideally be looking at that retention percentage if it's running a trial to understand that, okay, my retention is not good, even though I'm able to get users to the platform. So this chart is essentially drawn out for all these different days and with some percentage calculations on retention. So what you would do is you can even make a cohort out of each day. So say the users over here on Jan 25, I can call this Jan 25 cohort. And then I can actually actively track their behavior. Are they doing the actions that I want? So if I'm a video streaming platform, I would want them to watch video or at least browse my catalog, do something. So are they doing that? If not, then I can probably plan a campaign around. I can send some marketing campaign or push notification campaign to this Jan 25 cohort. Hey, I have this really new, interesting content on my platform called some Netflix show, Queen's Gambit, for example, right? And then I'll see that does that change the number of people who come back to actually watch something. Similarly, I can track this for another kind of platform as well. Maybe in a flight booking platform, you wouldn't do a 30-day tracking, but you it might be much larger, right? Because people don't come and book flights every day. But this does still apply to a lot of our product scapes which are there. So you make a cohort, try to target that cohort, see if anything that you're doing in terms of targeting that cohort is changing things. Is it improving your retention percentage? Are more users coming back? Any questions on this? Or do you grasp like what retention is about and why it's important to chase that number?
I would want to relate this to the Netflix stream fest, which is happening right now. You can watch all
Yeah,
the content on Netflix for free today and yesterday, I guess. But when we were discussing this, I just went to see the plans and all. So
yeah.
it is costing me around 6,000,
For a
maybe,
year.
yeah, per year.
Yeah.
And it's the basic thing, like basic
The
one.
basic plan. Yeah.
Yeah, other than like 191, 199 plan.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, uh, for a price sensitive country like us, people would drop out at only at the price point.
Absolutely. You know, this is pretty much the reason that Netflix introduced that mobile pack plan, which wasn't there in the beginning. I think it's introduced for India and maybe Brazil, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but I don't know how it would be profitable for them.
Probably not profitable, but see, let me put it this way. Uh, you already have made efforts to either buy the content or produce the content. Buy the content means in terms of rights. Like if I go and buy something like a Friends, then I would acquire rights to be able to digitally stream a Friends TV show in some region for a set amount of time, like a few years. So this is why you would see some shows coming and going on Netflix because the rights expire. So now that I have already put in that investment, I also have put in a solid tech investment to serve content to users and also make the experience great. The only extra effort which ends up happening in going to a new country is marketing. My tech infrastructure and content infrastructure is already set up. So they don't mind doing that. And they'll try to recover margins in other places because the content is already acquired, right? Irrespective of getting money from India or not.
Okay, I
But
mean,
yeah, it is a hustle for them over here for sure because the residents of India are very, very price sensitive. Absolutely.
yeah, but the population also is really high, right? Like,
Yeah, so they could end up getting scale in the mobile packs, maybe, and that could end up being good for them. But as of now, from what we can see, them running a Netflix free watch plan, I think they are also struggling out here, maybe.
uh,
Let's see if they change their plans in India
yeah, but
going
like,
forward.
I just saw the plans, like it was like for basic quality and
Yeah.
medium and premium. I mean, like, only thing which was differing was the quality of the videos. That's it.
Even the number of users.
Oh, I didn't see that. Like, I mean, even if I try to divide it by four for the basic, it's 1500,
Yeah,
and Prime is for 999. And
absolutely.
like,
Prime is much more value for money when you look at it compared to Netflix.
yeah, but like I don't know much about the content, but
So content is something which is quite different on both platforms. And obviously, if you have content loyalists, like for example, there could be someone who's a House of Cards fanatic, or there could be someone who's a very big fan of what was that kind of horror show which had come out, not horror exactly, horror thriller, Stranger Things, which was very popular, right? I think they had 2, 3 seasons of that. There's
and
even Orange is the New Black. So there are all these different Netflix originals which have
uh,
people hooked.
which are
And
now trending.
yeah,
And I didn't really see on Amazon that like they put like they have a feature like something is trending or something.
so if we talk about experience, the Amazon Prime Video experience is subpar compared to Netflix, not only in terms of content discovery, which would mean the home feed of content that you're seeing, also the search experience, and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Amazon is their prowess is more in tech rather than user experience.
Yeah. I mean, they might be using machine learning for recommendations, but like they don't have
Absolutely.
features for like showing that, yeah, this is trending on Amazon.
Yeah, they don't. And it's surprising that they've not done that. It seems like a pretty much no-brainer to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because people use that feature a lot on Netflix. The top in India row which comes on the home screen.
Yeah. And even Netflix also
But yeah, because
same
you
as
brought up
Amazon.
the two-user thing, right? So one very important thing in these platforms is the concurrent streaming which is there from users. So in the Netflix standard plan, you can have up to two users. Then there's a higher level plan which gives you, I think, 4K content plus you can have up to four users. So they have to make mechanisms where it is not possible for a user, or rather a user account, even if it's logged in 3,000, 4,000 devices, it doesn't matter. I'm giving an unrealistic number, but even if it's logged in so many devices, the number of devices actually streaming, or rather playing video, is limited to the number that you have in the plan. And they've made strong active measures to prevent that from going higher, because that's how they will make money. Because if one, like I purchase an account, I can distribute it with my peers, my friends, my family, everyone can use it. Then Netflix is just losing out on making money, right?
I mean, there's a functionality on Snapchat where you just like log in, I mean, like log in one device and you install the app in other device and log in that. This will automatically log out of the hideous
So,
one.
yeah, some people said that Netflix doesn't do that. They allow you to log in many devices. And think about it. People have laptops, they have mobile phones, they have desktop, they have tablets. Those are four devices right there. And or maybe even a smart TV, five devices, right? So they allow you to log in everywhere, as many devices as you want. But the number of devices playing something is limited to your plan. And if you try to exceed that, right, you will actually see an error that X number of devices are already playing content.
I mean, at the
And
same time,
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what concurrent streaming is at the same time.
okay, but like that wouldn't be much profitable also. Maybe this would be fine, no? Like logging out of the device once you logged in out of
But
one.
that's a poor experience, right? Because if I
Yeah.
want to use my Netflix account across all my devices, then I would have to log in again and again.
Okay.
So that's why making this check at the streaming level makes no sense, rather than logging out again and again.
Yeah.
And if we talk about logging out users, I feel that itself is a terrible thing to do. As much as possible, don't have a user log out. This is the reason I don't use Paytm, because for some reason they keep logging me out and I don't remember my password and I don't have the time and effort to actually reset my password and use Paytm again. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to another platform. This is how user drop offs happen.
Yeah, but users using, I mean, like people using multiple, I mean, like for suppose there's a friend of mine, he'll give
Yeah.
me his Amazon password. And obviously, I'm not taking his credit, I'm not paying for it, but I'm having his credentials and I
Yeah.
can log in. That's a loss for them, right? There's no
It
way I can.
is. And I don't know, from last what I checked, Amazon did not make a big effort on limiting the concurrent streaming on their platform. Or maybe they do have a limit and it's a high limit. And they don't publicly disclose that from what I know.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I guess people should know, like the user should know, right? Like while purchasing the plan, like,
How
this,
many devices can
yeah.
simultaneously play? Ideally, yes. But I guess Amazon's point of view probably is that each user should have their own Prime account. Think about the price as well, where we
Yeah.
were talking about the Netflix 6K yearly plan being split between four users at 1,500 each. For them, that's just 1,000 rupees a year.
I just saw the thing. No, it's just for the one person. Basic and medium one is for one person, and standard one is between four persons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The number of people changes and also the quality of content you can play changes.
Yeah.
ऑल्सो सर जो मल्टीपल डिवाइसेस होते हैं उसमें तो पता ही चल जाता है, मतलब बैक एंड पे सबको पता होता है कि आप अगर अगर ऐश्वर्या किसी और का अकाउंट यूज़ कर रही है तो दे नो राइट, सो किसी और अकाउंट के अंदर किसी और पीसी के अंदर खुला हुआ है. दैट्स अ वेरी लाइक दे अंडरस्टैंड इट राइट, सो दे नो. अगर आप किसी भी अकाउंट में अगर अच्छा आप मेरा ऐप किसी और उसमें खोलोगे, आई नो आपने किसी और में खोला हुआ है.
Yeah,
आई कैन
but
ट्रैक इट.
now imagine this. You've rolled out an application where you have a huge user base. You did not put a experience in place like Netflix, which gives a pop-up that, hey, your account is already being played on two devices right now, so we can't let you play over here. And that application is out on the market, installed on millions of devices. Your account and password leaks, and there was no backend infrastructure in place to prevent concurrent streaming. So now what you have to do is you are in a situation where you have to force a update on users because you want to improve the and you want to block concurrent streaming.
I think it's same with Hotstar. Maybe it's same with other platform as well, right? So even my mother using a
Hotstar,
lot of.
I think, is 1 to 2 devices again for concurrent streaming.
I think my mother using Sony Live, right?
Yeah,
Again, and we can access it, right? So I think, well, for me, what I believe that if somebody is sharing the content, like like a lot of people would they feel if you are sharing the content, somehow you're going to become a user of it, and somehow you're going to be uh, maybe maybe the friend of yours उसने pay नहीं किया next month, right? Maybe
But
you
he
can
might,
you can pay, right? So that's something that's the beauty, right? Because ultimately when I was telling the investors that my content maybe people gonna be sharing with their friends, and they would take this is something which is very good, right? So now what you're doing is you are doing the organic marketing. Now imagine
by
that
kind of having people share their profiles or
exactly.
user
So
IDs.
so
Yeah,
maybe some time I'm not I don't renew my account, right? Now you're not able to access the like the video,
yeah,
or maybe the account, right? So now what you're going to do is it's an organic marketing. Again, it's a debatable topic, but at the same time you need to have that mindset that okay, if somebody is using it, it's recommending it, right? Basically.
yeah,
And somehow they can do it, मतलब वो कुछ कर सकते हैं. And at the same, like, if you are getting access of your account, right? If you are downloading the application, right? I know the every details of yours. Like मुझे सब कुछ पता है. अगर आप एक
yeah,
नई चीज ले रहे हो तो Amazon दूसरी चीज बेच देगा आपको.
huh, yeah. That's
So
how
it's
it is.
that's how the things works out, right? So if you're not,
Yeah,
like, in our application, if you're not purchasing the product, we still can see the metrics, right? हम अभी भी देख सकते हैं, बैठ के ट्रैक कर सकते
yeah,
हैं. And it's amazing, right? So I can even track what you are actually like. मैं इतना track कर सकता हूँ कि आप गूगल पे क्या सर्च कर रहे हो.
yeah.
So I know the history, man. So yeah. So आप मतलब अगर business एक side से नहीं होना तो दूसरे side से हो जाएगा. That's something which I wanted to tell you. And it works like a organic channel, that if you're recommending something, it's working like a organic. Okay, आपने market खुद ही कर दिया उस चीज को. You are a brand ambassador now. Maybe in this point.
Fair enough. Going forward, so CLV is a very important kind of metric you would track as a PM, because you would want to know what am I going to get out of the customer who comes to my platform? Like, what is the value they are bringing? You will obviously have some acquisition costs in place because you might be running digital marketing campaigns, right? You might be having some Google ads, some YouTube ads, maybe Facebook ads, Instagram ads. A lot of people put ads everywhere. So you are spending money on all those things to kind of create awareness that, hey, my platform is here, come and download, and so on and so forth. But after you do run those ads, they come to your platform. What is the value they give you over their lifetime? So, for example, let's say, just for an example, Amazon puts in maybe $20 as their customer acquisition cost. But once they acquire their customer, how many products is that customer buying in their lifetime on Amazon? Maybe he buys some electronics one day, he buys groceries one day, he buys books the other day, so on and so forth. So on in their lifetime, they end up giving hundreds and thousands of dollars of business to Amazon. So that's where you figure, okay, my CLV is this much, and thereby, even if I have a acquisition cost which is this high, it's fine because I know in the long run I'm going to be expecting a lot of money from them. So that's what is meant by retaining them in the length of the relationship, which is why it's important for you to work on retention, right? Because in order for my customer to actually be able to generate that hundreds and thousands of dollars of sales, it's important for me as a platform to keep that experience really good. Otherwise, it's possible that they just buy one product which wasn't even worth $20, maybe it was worth $5, and they just left. That means that wasn't a profitable acquisition for me. So these are two common formulas that you can use. The first is for lifetime value. The second is customer lifetime value. So there's a slight difference in this. Lifetime value you would calculate as the average value of sales, number of transactions, and retention time period. So if we take one, yeah, there's an example where we will come to that. Customer lifetime value is you calculate lifetime value, which you did over here, but you multiply that with the profit margin. So if we take that $20 acquisition example, over there, how many transactions they did over what period of time, what was the average value of a transaction they did, all these things multiplied by the profit I'm making on them. That would be my customer's lifetime value. Let's take a look at an example with numbers so we can get a better idea. So this is for a media platform. Average value of sale is 500 per month. So I've kind of rounded down the Netflix plan here. Number of transactions 12 months because this is a monthly plan, right? And say you retain a Netflix customer for 5 years. Maybe your gross margin is 20%. So now LTV would be 500 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 5, which means you are getting 30,000 of revenue from your customer. But this is not the profit because this is simply the money he has paid you. You also have your own costs, right? You have your, let's say, infrastructure cost in terms of maintaining the servers and tech. You also have a huge cost in terms of staff. You have a cost in terms of acquiring content, like you would pay millions of dollars to actually be able to stream something for a particular time span. After you kind of devise all of those, that's something that you would subtract. And then eventually you would come up with a gross margin that you're getting on each sale. So here I take an example of 20. And when you multiply the 30,000 by 20%, over a span of 5 years, what you've actually really made from your user is 6,000 rupees. Because everything else was a cost which was borne by you. Does this make sense? Hello, guys.
Yeah.
Even if you take a look at an Amazon example, right? Maybe someone purchases something every month over there or every odd month over there. They stick around for 5 years. Then what is the average margin that Amazon has on all the products? That would end up giving you the CLV multiplied by all the transactions that those users have made. And that's the actual profit that you've made. And that's the key number that you would try to focus on, Either you increase the number of transactions or you try to increase the margin you're getting. To increase the margin you're getting, you would have to kind of figure out a way to reduce your costs. Costs could be reduced in terms of, in an example of a media platform, maybe. So you know what Netflix did, right? Initially, they were mostly acquiring content rights, and that made them get their initial traction. A lot of people were attracted to the typical hot shows that used to be there, like Friends, Office, and some other stuff as well. But they realized that if I want to profit in the long run, then I can't keep buying content rights. I have to make that cheaper because buying content rights is a ludicrous business. And even for each region, there are different rights policies as well. So if Netflix can show Friends in India today, that doesn't mean that it's allowed to show Friends in Middle East or UAE, because each region has its own rights distribution thing going on. Because if I'm the content producer, I can sell distribution or digital distribution rights to a platform like Netflix for one region, and the other regions I can sell again to other people. That's how it works. So that's why it becomes a very ludicrous business. And you don't get lifetime rights usually. You end up getting rights for a few years. So in case of Netflix, they might have contracts of 3 to 5 years for each piece of content they acquire. In GeoTV, when we had content distribution for Sony, Z, and all these guys, those were contracts which were somewhere around 4 years, 5 years, and so on and so forth. So what Netflix figured is if I am to make a profit, then acquiring rights is not scalable because I'll keep burning a lot of money in this. And eventually, what they started doing, which worked extremely well for them, is they started making their own shows. House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, and there are a lot more. Those are all Netflix originals who did extremely well. Netflix produced that content on their own budget, so they didn't have to pay anyone, and they own the content, so they can freely let any Netflix user across the world watch it whenever they want, and there is no issue of rights because they own this, so they can infinitely let people watch this. So that's how they change that, and that's how their margin would have gone up to actually become profitable because they reduced the content overall content cost that they were taking. So funnel analysis is something that PMs or even product marketing managers or even marketing managers would take a look at. So there's something like a sales funnel, which is popular. Some people have a job application funnel. And even in product, we have our own product funnels, which will mostly be oriented around some important parts of our application. Like I can have something like a sign up funnel, right? So out of everyone who's coming to my platform, which could be by installing my application from Play Store and then opening my app for the first time. So say if 1,000 people downloaded the app, I can track that. I'll come to know that from analytics, right? That 1,000 people downloaded my app. And if they've downloaded the app, I can assume that the app is installed. So I count download and install as the same thing. Now, after downloading, how many of them actually open the app for the first time? Maybe it's not 1,000, because it's possible that a few users who downloaded the app, they even forgot that they downloaded my app because they got busy with life. So I might actually have 900 users who actually open the app for the first time. Now, out of these 900 users who open the app for the first time, how many actually click on the sign up button and complete that sign up flow? So you gradually see a drop. And that's why this is known as a funnel, because it gets a shape like this. The top of the funnel will be large, but the volume that keeps going down becomes smaller with each step in the funnel. So the reason you would do a funnel analysis is that you track which steps of the funnel are incurring huge losses. And so here we refer to that as drop-offs, right? So wherever you are incurring drop-offs, you try to fix that step. You focus your marketing and dev efforts on that step so that the portion where your losses are happening, you can reduce those losses and thereby make your funnel more efficient. So in that example I gave you, where 1,000 users came in and only 900 opened the app, and out of which only maybe 700 actually started the sign up form, right? Can I optimize from that 900 and 700 number to maybe 900 and 800 or 900 and 850? So if someone opens the app, maybe I can trigger them with a notification later that, hey, you still haven't signed up on our platform. Come and do it now so you can come and do XYZ things, and so on. So that's how you would figure out an effort to kind of optimize that funnel. So how do you use funnels? You identify friction points. So friction points would be areas in a funnel where you're seeing drop-offs. It also helps you visualize the user journey. You can see the conversion percentage at each step, evaluate alarming drop-offs, and optimize funnel points. Actually, let's just take a look at a proper funnel so you can get a better idea. So this is a video streaming funnel, okay? So it could be an app like YouTube or anything that you choose to imagine. Now, 200 million users visit the home screen. So this is a website, okay? There's no install business over it. So they simply visit the home screen. Now, 160 million users actually click on a video. So that's a big loss right there. You just lost 40 million users who came to your home screen because they didn't do anything. So you would ideally try to figure out what's going wrong. These 40 million users who you lost, why did they not click on a video? Is it that the videos they saw on the home screen were not relevant to them? Is it that the videos they saw on the home screen were not localized? So for example, if someone is logging in on this website from India, from a tier 2, tier 3 village, which has their own native language. Let's say someone comes in from a town in Punjab. Then were the videos on the home screen in Punjabi, which makes it a bit more contextual to most of the population in Punjab. If not, then can you optimize like that? Because that might help you to boost this number from 160 to 180. And because the more contextual content you're putting on your home screen, the higher likelihood that someone will actually click on the video, and which is that it grabs their interest, right? The next step here is 120 million users stream video. So now why is there a split between clicking a video and streaming video? Because they are two different steps. You are clicking on the video on the home screen of the application. But after you click on the video, you get redirected to a second page, which is probably the video page, right? Now on the second page, things are happening again. There's a video which will load, there are comments which will load, there will be suggested videos which will load, and so on and so forth. So if some failure happens on this page, then you're going to lose users again. right? So maybe that's why only 120 million users stream video, because out of the 160 which actually ended up on this page by clicking here, only 120 had a decent experience for them to actually start playing a video. Maybe the web page is not optimized enough for users who are on low internet speed connections. So is there effort that you can do over there? Or maybe there was a particular tech mishap which was happening. There was a bug or there was some infrastructure downtime because of which you lost the 40 million over here. Now, even after someone starts playing your video, if they watch your video for 1 second, is it really useful to you? No, you want users to watch full videos because you want their maximum time to be spent on your platform, right? So a typical metric that someone could use is how many of them watch more than 1 minute of video. Now this number finally ends up on 50 million. So did you see the drop off which has happened from the beginning? Out of 200 million people who came, 50 of them actually played a video more than 1 minute. So only literally 25% of all the people who came gave you some tangible value by coming to your platform. Now, looking at all the different steps, once you have these mapped out, you can figure out where you want to do some optimizations in terms of marketing, in terms of tech, maybe in terms of content being recommended. In this case, it's content, but in a case like a e-commerce platform, say Amazon, it could be the products which are displayed over there. Maybe you would want to put discounted products on the homepage so that it's more attractive and you can get higher conversion. Or if there's a hot new product coming out which is exclusive to your platform, like Amazon always has some mobile phones which are exclusive to their platform rather than Flipkart or someone. So you can market those phones. I think OnePlus Nord was such a device as well. So you figure out all these efforts to optimize the funnel and the final conversion which is happening on your platform. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. This is another example of a funnel. So here they're tracking out of how many new users do users return, users get converted, and then again they return and make another payment, right? So if we look at the example here, these guys are putting in effort. This is where your users are coming from. So let's see. There's 10% App Store, 35% Facebook, 15% on Instagram, 10% on Twitter, 25% on Google, and 5% is organic. This is your acquisition. This is your acquisition effort. Okay. So if you observe the parallel numbers you're getting, out of 10% users acquired from App Store, 8% return, which is decent. 35% users coming from Facebook, but out of those 35% users, 42% return. But take a look at the last one. You have 25% users who actually came from Google, but only 8% of them returned. So does this mean that you can reduce your advertisement expenditure happening on Google because you aren't getting returning users from there? You're only getting new users. So this is what you would take a look at and then realign your marketing efforts. Even though I've spent a lot of money over here on Google, the returning users are still quite less compared to all the other platforms. Maybe I can use some of the Google budget and put it on a better returning percentage, right? Something like Facebook or Instagram, which is giving me better numbers over there. So now another funnel example, this is a sign up funnel, a very common funnel that you can set up in your own product. So how many visits do you get on your homepage? This is a global visit count. How many of them click on sign up? Now, out of 340 users, 340 million users, you're getting 200 million clicks on sign up. So that's a huge loss right there. 140 million users lost. So then why are they not clicking on sign up? Do they not understand your homepage? Is the homepage not customized according to their language? Is the sign up button not visible? And there are a lot of other things that you could be doing on that homepage to optimize this number further. Is your value proposition not clear over there? So that's a actionable thing you can take a look at. Out of 200 million who click on sign up, 100 million complete the sign up. That's a huge loss again. That's 50% users lost in actually completing the sign up. So is there an effort that you can take in your sign up form? Is it possible for you to reduce the number of fields that are there? So a lot of I would say amateurs usually what they do is they end up trying to collect as much information as possible. I want their name, I want their last name, I want their email, I want their phone number, I want their website, I want their Aadhaar card, I want their PAN card, and only then I let them access my application. But this is not a right approach. Ideally you should just take the minimal amount of information you need and then just simply let them into your platform, let them complete the sign up, which is why something like a login with Google or login with Facebook is highly successful because people hate signing up. Whatever makes their job easy, they go for it. So can you add a login with Facebook or Google option if it's not already there to your platform to make the sign up easier? Then you could increase this number. And the thing is, the on each of these steps, whenever you improve the number, the consecutive step, its number is also going to improve. So thereby, you should always try to fix all of those steps which are there, especially the ones above the last one. Like here, it would be these three steps. Now, out of 100 million users who signed up, 95 million users watch a video. But that's also odd, right? Why are you even losing those 5 million users who don't watch a video? Sure, they've signed up, but does signing up mean everything? No, your core metrics are going to be around people watching videos. So you would want them to watch a video, which means that you focus your effort on generating a great list of video recommendations for them to actually watch. Or maybe you engage them with notifications to actually come and watch a video, so on and so forth. Look where you can optimize. Funnel is just going to show you the different steps which are there, and then it's on to you where you want to put your optimization effort. Have you guys ever heard of recency frequency monitoring?
No, sir.
So this is a upcoming analysis technique, I would say. So tools like CleverTap give you this out of the box, and I'm going to walk you through how you can even do it without a tool like CleverTap. So let's take a look at what it means and why it's useful. So in RFM, R stands for recency, F stands for frequency, M stands for monetary. So if we take a very simple example, if I have a user called Mohit on my platform, I know that he last came to my application yesterday because I can track this, right? So I know that he last came to my application yesterday. I know that he uses my application 5 times a day, almost on average. And I know that he spends an average of 1,000 rupees per month. So I'm getting some numbers. What I can do further things around these numbers because I can also determine is something wrong, and I'll show you how that gets done. So for recency, how recent was your customer's last purchase from you? Frequency, how often does the customer purchase from you? Monetary, how much does the customer spend? Let's take a look at this definition and then we can jump into the calculation. Is a data-driven customer segmentation technique. So why data-driven? Because you are actually getting data around their recency, frequency, and monetary. That allows marketers to take tactical decisions. So what are the kinds of decisions that you can take by understanding if someone is recent, frequent, and monetary? So for example, you notice that someone was a paid customer. They frequently came to your application, but off late they are not making a purchase. So you as a PM or a PMM, can you entice them with the offer or a deal or a discount? Probably yes. You can give them a 50% off for the subscription the first month and they can convert again. And you know that this user is coming in every day, so they definitely do like your product. So it's very important for you to try to create tactics around not losing customers. Similarly, you also get an idea of who's your most loyal customer or super customer. because they will be coming again and again and using your application a lot and keep on doing purchases. So by doing RFM, you can identify and segment users into these kind of buckets and groups. And then each group or bucket you can target with a different strategy. We'll take a look at some of these things as well. This is going to improve your engagement and retention. Because if someone is on the verge of not coming back to your platform, but at that last moment you send them an email, hey, I'm ready to give you 50% off on your subscription. This might help in convert them back to a paying customer, and then the consequent months they can come and do purchases again. So let's take an example look at a RFM calculation. This table has 15 customers and all we have is their customer ID name in terms of personal information. Then we have their RFM data. So our recency is how many days back did they come? So they came 4 days back. What was the frequency of visit? So, or usage or purchase? There was 6 times. How much did they spend? 540. Now what you can do is you can assign points to each of your customer on each of these attributes. So you can give them points based on recency. So if someone came to your platform yesterday, you are more likely to give him a higher value than someone who came to your platform 90 days back because he's just used the app. It's fresh in their head, right? Or someone who was using your app but then forgot about it and they may or may not come. Maybe they found a substitute to your app or product. Similarly, in frequency, if there's someone who uses your application or pays on your application 20 times versus there's someone who does it 1 time, who are you going to give more value to? You probably give more value to someone who has the higher frequency or no more number of purchases. Finally, the monetary value. Now, say we combine frequency and monetary, right? You know that someone, let's take an example of Amazon. Let's say that someone does grocery shopping on Amazon. So they do perhaps every 2 days they're buying fruits and vegetables on Amazon Fresh, right? But their order value is around 500 rupees every time. Okay. 500 rupees every time they order every 2 days. In a month, let's assume that they order 15 times. So what do you get? Approximately 7,500 rupees, right? That's the ticket value in a month. Now, there's someone who buys electronics on Amazon, but they only do it 5 to 10 times. So they're not doing it 15 times. The frequency is not much, but they buy electronics. Now, electronics automatically become a higher ticket value. Let's assume that the average electronic that they buy on the platform is worth maybe 2,000 rupees, right? And they do half the number of orders as our grocery guy, maybe 7. So that ends up being a 14,000 ticket value. So obviously you would assign a higher value to this guy because you want them to come to your platform frequently and make more purchases because they're giving you more money. So you would create a different segment for them or score them differently. Now let's take a look at how you actually do the scoring. So in this case, what we've done is the customer IDs are ordered by recency, with the most recent being on top and the last or rather least recent being at the bottom of the list, and the customer IDs are ordered according to that. These guys get ranks based on what their recency is, and each of these ranks get divided into 5 buckets. 5 buckets because it's manageable. So if you're rank 1, 2, 3, you get a score of 5. If you're rank 4, 5, 6, there's a typo here, then you get a rank of 4. If you're rank 7, 8, 9, you get a rank of 3. And again, you are assigning these ranks based on the recency. So this is how you would give a score to all of them. So this customer ID 8, he came 50 days back. He has the worst rank. He also gets the worst score. He only gets 1 point over there. So the top 3 comprise the top 20% in this. Now, similarly, you would assign a score for the frequency or the monetary aspect for the same customer. So keep in mind that the customer IDs are unique and they're the same across all of these. It's just that they're being scored differently based on recency, frequency, and monetary. So in this example, If you, let's compare what the state was over here, right? Customer ID 9 came 34 days back. So they actually got a very bad score in terms of R score, which is the recency score. But now take a look at customer 9 over here. He had a frequency of 15 times. So he gets a full score over here, even though he came so many days back, right? So you would try to put a high value on this guy and then try to target him again. And again, if you look at the monetary calculation, he's the one who's given the most amount of money over here. So he gets a full point over here also. So now you are in a dangerous situation. You had a customer who was giving you a lot of money coming to the platform again and again, but they only came 34 days back. So how do you get them back? Can you attract them with some kind of exclusive deal for them, some discount offer, some engagement campaign? You would plan out something like this. But yeah, these guys get assigned similar scores based on what their frequency was. Frequency will be ordered highest to lowest. So if it's 15 times, they get the highest score. And that's how this entire table is done. Again, we keep the buckets same because it makes it easy to calculate. Similarly, on monetary basis, there are scores assigned based on how much, what was the ticket value that they had. Now, in your last step, simply average their scores from your steps before. So if you take a look at customer ID 1, here you're ordering on base of customer ID. Take a look at customer ID 1. They had a good score over here. They had a score of 5 in terms of recency. Wait. Yeah. In terms of recency, they had a R score of 5. Customer 1 had a F score of 4. Customer 1 also had a M score of 4. Eventually, the average ends up being 4.1. Why 4 point, the average ends up being 4.3, sorry. So why is this 4.3 number important? Because you understand that even though the customer is, let's say, not extremely new, he's 4 days old, but still the score he's obtaining in terms of frequency and monetary is quite good, right? He's giving you a good ticket value. So you try to target him in some way. And this is how we get the scores of each of these different users who are there. Who has the highest RFM score, you would try to retain them as much as you could. And whoever has a low RFM score, like customer ID 3 has a very poor score. So the RFM score is 1. You can pretty much count this as a super risky user that you will most likely use. RFM also would change depending on your business model. While a RFM would stand true, like what we have seen in this example, for more like a e-commerce application or something like a consumer electronics business, it's going to be different because a customer is only going to buy a phone every, let's say, on an average 2 years, right? But here you're probably looking at the frequency in terms of days, weeks. In a FMCG, the frequency and recency could be weighted higher. So yeah, if you're a FMCG and you're selling something like soaps or shampoos, then you could put more of an emphasis on calculating the frequency and recency because your ticket value is small. So that's why I mentioned this point over here. Any questions in the calculation of this or the scoring of this?
No, sir. But the thing is that can we calculate like a exact price where like the user flips out like below this price I'm like below this price I'd want to buy a product above this price
You
I
would have to experiment. So what you could potentially do is you make a cohort of users who have a score less than, say, 2, and then you send some of those customers a campaign where you're giving them 25% off, some of them a campaign where you're giving 50% off, and you observe if there's a great difference in the number of conversions coming from each of those campaigns, and whichever is more successful, you would try to run that again with the rest of the customers.
okay.
It's very not only important, but I would also say a good approach to keep experimenting with your marketing campaigns. A lot of people keep doing it, and there are a lot of tools with which you can easily do this as well. Your simple emailing tools like MailChimp allow you to run experiments. Play Store allows you to run experiments on the Play Store layout of the page. So if you feel that the page visit of your Play Store is, for example, 1 million, but the number of people actually downloading your application is only 600,000. So how would you improve that 600,000 to come close to that 1 million number? You improve your Play Store page, you improve the copy and description of your application, you improve the screenshots which are laid out over there. Maybe you want to change the name of your application, the logo of your application, or you want to add a video on the App Store page. And you can do this in basis of experiments as well. So you can have experiment A, where your copy is different, maybe more light-hearted and cheerful, or experiment B, where your copy is more on a formal tone. And then you can measure what is the conversion you're getting from each of those experiments. Play Store will give you that data after you start running that. Similarly, there are other tools as well which allow you to calculate that. In an email campaign, in this example that we spoke about, I would shoot two different campaigns. I would measure the number of opens I'm getting on the email based on the discount I'm giving them. Is the number of opens for my discount where I'm giving them 50% higher than the email where I'm giving them a discount of 25%? So that's opens. Secondly, I would check the actual conversion. So did more users click on the inside the email where my discount was 50%? And did they actually go and do that transaction versus the 25% discount? Because if 25% discount is working enough for me, then I will try to run that because I lose less money, right? But if it's much more poor compared to the 50% discount campaign, then it's very likely that I should stop that 25% discount campaign.
Yeah, so but the thing is that let's imagine a scenario where
Yeah,
people have downloaded the app, they're recently visiting the app, and frequency of buying products
yeah,
just would depend on two things: the products they want
yeah,
and the price range.
absolutely. And you probably will not get an idea of the products they want because they're quite dynamic, but you can try to predict it, or you can try giving them recommendations on products, or you can use their existing history to understand if there's some targeting potential over there. So for
Yeah,
example, like I mentioned that wish list example, right? User has added some items to his wish list, but he doesn't come to the platform. Then suddenly there's a price drop in the item on their wish list. So you can engage them with a campaign around that.
yeah,
Or
that
you
only.
can, yeah,
Yeah, that only what I'm trying to say is, mostly I'd say that the users would drop when the price is higher. Even though they like the product, they'd drop because the
absolutely.
price is higher, they couldn't afford it, or they'll wait for the sale.
Yeah,
So we can calculate the proper RFM score, and then we'll run the campaign. No, we can run the campaign where efficiently, where if it comes till their price point, or to understand their price point, we can give them offers then.
you can always run marketing campaigns in parallel, right? So you can have one campaign which is more around the product pages they visited or a wish list item they had. And you can also have a parallel campaign which is using your RFM purely on basis of score. So maybe this user was doing some purchases on your platform, but they stopped and their frequency reduced. So you try to boost that.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a risk of over engaging the user, which is a bad practice, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe in India, I would say it's still not acceptable, is not the right word, but it's known that, okay, I'm going to get notifications and emails from these guys now, right? But outside India, notifications are also viewed as spam. So there are applications out there and people actively look for such applications which allow them to reduce that notification clutter. Also, even a feature like iOS Do Not Disturb, it does the same thing. It mutes all notifications. So there is also a movement in people wanting to get distracted lesser by various applications, which is why over engaging is bad. And it's important to engage correctly and not keeping your engagement frequency too high so much that it bothers your user or irritates them.
Okay.
So this is a RFM grid, and there are tools these days which give you a output like this. So you don't have to calculate a RFM score manually. So what they do is, basis their RFM numbers, which your tool is already getting, they assign your users to different buckets. So what does the switch off button over here mean? Can anyone take a guess? Clearly, they have a low frequency and low recency here.
Shouldn't invest on this
Yeah,
person.
it's very likely you're going to lose those guys. What does the trophy over here mean? So they have a high recency and high frequency also.
So
Uh, you can get return investment, like the customer would be loyal and you
Yeah,
can
so this is kind of a customer champion. This is like a customer who's loyal. This is someone you need to engage. So obviously, the description of all these is not there in this image. I have that later. I'll show you. But I just wanted to take a few guesses. So now what's happening is this tool knows how recent or how frequent your customer is, and it's
Pankaj sir, sorry to
automatically,
interrupt.
yeah.
Pankaj sir, sorry to interrupt you, right? So, guys, Shripad, Vivek, Usha, are you guys there, right? मैंने आप
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
हाँ
yeah.
guys please be interactive. मैंने आप लोगों की एक बार भी आवाज़ नहीं सुनी guys. Make sure that you, if you have any doubts, just let me know and let Pankaj sir know. आप, you can ask your doubts on the spot, right? So please make sure कि अपने आप doubts बहुत पूछें. And please be interactive, right? So maybe if you have any issues on, like, while talking or something, just make sure आप chat box कर सकते हो, because right now I'm attending the session. I can actually can work on a chat box. आप chat box में लिखोगे, I can actually can convey to this Pankaj sir. So make sure be interactive,
Yeah,
guys. And Pankaj sir, make sure कि आप नाम लेके बुला लो यार लोगों का, है ना? पकड़
sure,
लो सर,
sure.
विवेक को पकड़ लो, श्रीपाद को पकड़ लो, उषा को पकड़ लो, बात करो कि बॉस क्या चीज़ है. आई नीड देयर वॉइसेस गाइस, आई नीड योर वॉइस राइट नाउ. मुझे चाहिए नेक्स्ट स्लाइड्स में आप आपकी आवाज़ आनी चाहिए. मैंने 2 घंटे अटेंड किया है, मेरे पास एक बार भी आवाज़ नहीं आई है आप लोगों की, है ना?
Yeah, sure, yeah,
And
sure,
I
yeah.
know you guys, you are actually very attentive, but the point is I also need to understand, right? So मुझे भी तो तकना चाहिए. मुझे तो अभी पूरा लग रहा है कि सो रहे हो आप लोग, right? Please make sure, please be
नहीं, बट ये अच्छा प्रैक्टिस है, चेक इन करना चाहिए.
हाँ, I just want it, right? So please sir, पंकज सर, आप पकड़ लो किसी को भी, विवेक को पकड़ लेना, अगली बार श्रीपाद को पकड़ लेना, उषा को पकड़ लेना, पूछना कि कैसे क्या है, right? Make sure to interact, guys, because 50% of the 50% of the product management comprises of communication skill set. And guys, this is a beauty, right? मैं इसको record भी करवा सकता था. Again, I can record this session, पंकज sir can record this session and can give to you, right? और आप देख सकते थे, and मेरी cost
Yeah,
बहुत कम हो
but
जाती.
then you would lose out on the opportunity to actually ask questions live
and
or
and and
understand a
guys,
concept that it's not
and
clear.
I'm telling you bluntly, right? मुझे इन्वेस्टर्स ने काफी बार बोला है, एंड ये हम टेस्ट भी करने वाले हैं. सो इन्वेस्टर्स ने काफी बार बोला है, गो फॉर द प्री रिकॉर्डेड और एंड गो फॉर द सेमी लाइव सेशंस, कि लाइव मत करो इतने. बट गाइज, यू नो व्हाट, प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट अगर आप रिकॉर्डेड से पढ़ोगे तो आप कभी समझ ही नहीं पाओगे, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली यू नीड टू, like, you need to talk to the people, right? You need to, like, this is an experiences, right? And you need to understand this through the experience, not the bookish language. And that's something which we are building right now. So make sure be attentive, be interactive. And Vivek, Shripad, Usha, you know, right, the rules. So please make sure that if you have any doubts, guys, please ask on the spot. And that's the beauty, right? Perfect sir, Pankaj sir, perfect. You can,
Acha,
you're
give
handing over this.
me 1 minute. I'll just quickly come back.
Sure. सो गाइस, समझ में आ रहा है ना अभी तक? श्रीपाद, उषा,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I already worked on this part, so
ओके.
I can directly
हाँ हाँ हाँ
correlate. Yeah,
हाँ 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 हाँ
because
हाँ
I work as a data analyst too, right?
हाँ
These
हाँ
are the
गॉट
like
इट। आरएफएम तो आपके लिए डेली का होगा बॉस।
नहीं नहीं RFM नहीं है, पता नहीं है, so I was figuring out, मतलब मेरा टू डू लिस्ट में डाल दिया क्लेवर टाइप में कैसे करेंगे अभी.
हाँ हाँ
I
हाँ हाँ
I
हाँ
will
हाँ
chase
हाँ।
it out like.
देखो
Yeah.
Clever
आर
Tap देता है RFM out of the box. It's very good.
Yeah, मैं अब तक के लिए उसे ट्राई नहीं किया है, तो लेट्स टेक द एक्सेस एंड डू इट. अगर पता अभी RFM का तो ये मतलब पता चल चुका है ना, ऐसा होता है,
विवेक।
क्योंकि क्योंकि वी हैव रीब्रांडेड अवर दिस थिंग ऐप. मेरे को उसके ऊपर एक पॉइंटर तो मिल सकता है, मतलब कितना क्या हो रहा है वहाँ पे एग्जैक्टली. आई कैन चेस द डेटा टीम क्या है. अगर उसके पास डेटा नहीं है देन आई विल ओनली गेट दिस डन. ऐसा होता है मतलब.
गॉट इट गॉट इट। विवेक आपका क्या हाल है भाई?
No, so the thing is, a lot of things are new to me. So I'm trying to understand, pointing out things. I'm trying to write a
विवेक
few things.
विवेक मेक श्योर टू मेक योर नोट्स ब्रो, राइट?
Yeah,
सो
yeah.
इफ यू नीड एनी काइंड ऑफ हेल्प, विवेक मैं आज भी बोल रहा हूँ, कोई भी हेल्प चाहिए ऑन दिस व्हाट बोल रहा हूँ, द पॉइंट इज, if you need any kind of help, or if you think that you have any doubts, right, please make sure to ask me, to ping me, right, Vivek? Because ultimately, boss, we both belongs from the edtech platform, right? Both belongs from the edtech, right? And you know, right, in India how the edtech is working. We don't want to make sure that we need to make sure that we need to have a different line altogether. We don't want to jump on that sector कि जहाँ पे सिर्फ पढ़ाया जाता है और समझाया नहीं जाता. Correct? So please make sure that you all guys are actually the guys. Believe me, you all are all the all of you guys are the pillars of Bright Ego. So not the company itself. You are the one who going to represent the Bright Ego end of the day. So make sure to build yourself, and yeah, that's it. I think Usha, समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Hello, Usha.
I think our background this
I
thing.
okay.
Yeah.
I think हाँ. वैसे भी नेट तो तेज चलेगा हैदराबाद में वैसे अब तो, क्योंकि बीजेपी आ चुकी है. तो या nevertheless guys, yeah, Pankaj are heading over the session to you. पंकज सर अच्छा गए हैं क्या? सो गाइस तब तक किसको पकड़े हैं? श्रीपाद सर को पकड़ने हैं. श्रीपाद सर अभी तक क्या समझ में आया सेशंस के अंदर?
Like see, currently we will also do like if I go to that cohort, right?
हम्म
So and also we have the KPIs as well. We daily कितना क्या है, conversion क्या है, marketing का campaign, मतलब how many investment we got for from the particular campaign. So
हम्म
these ideas, so when the particular feature launch, right, so how many have been entered to that particular feature. Like currently we have introduced the WhatsApp consent feature, so daily I am
अच्छा.
only monitoring those things. So yeah, so how like on daily basis how much users are coming on that particular platform. And see, currently we are doing a manually, like we are triggering the campaign manually. Like we have what you can say, based on the recent launch and the recent investment, we are what you can we are creating the campaigns
पेयू
for
मनी
those
से
guys.
मिली आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट? आपको पेयू मनी से
Ah,
मिली ना इन्वेस्टमेंट?
right, yeah, yeah.
You guys are actually at that stage where you're going to acquire, like PayU money gonna be acquiring you, right?
Most probably, I don't think so,
Most probably.
but yeah, we are planning to acquire one startup. The what you can say, still talk is going on, might be.
Probably the like PayU money gonna be acquiring at last, right? So three years down the line, so you're gonna be coming into the PayU money umbrella. And these guys usually do this, right? So I have a very good connection with PayU money.
But I'm not
So
sure because our CEO doesn't allow
uh,
that kind of, yeah.
ब्रो श्रीपाद, आप पैसा बना ही नहीं सकते स्टार्टअप्स में. पैसा आप तभी बना सकते हो जब आप बेचोगे. यू कांट मेक
Hmm.
बिग मनी इन ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ व्हेन यू आर रनिंग द स्टार्टअप, राइट? द
Right,
बिग
yeah.
मनी कम्स इनटू द पिक्चर वेयर यू एक्चुअली गोइंग टू एक्वायर, बिकॉज बॉस मार्केट में प्लेयर्स बहुत कम कम होने चाहिए. श्रीपाद आप समझो, जितने ज्यादा
Mm-hmm.
प्लेयर्स उतनी मार्केट डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाती है.
Right,
डिस्ट्रीब्यूट भी
yeah.
नहीं,
Yeah.
मल्टी यूजर्स
Ah,
काफी हो
yeah,
जाते
yeah.
हैं.
Right, yeah.
डिस्ट्रीब्यूट तो खार के खैर क्या होगी, बट मल्टी यूजर्स हो जाते हैं. सो इफ यू आर
Right,
यूजिंग,
right.
इफ आई एम ब्रिंगिंग सम अदर प्लेटफॉर्म इन अ फूड टेक, तो जोमेटो पे भी लोग होंगे, स्विगी पे भी होंगे, उस पे भी होंगे. सो
Right,
मार्केट
yeah.
तीनों कम्पीट कर रहे हैं. सो
exactly.
ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा मतलब मल्टी यूजर होते हैं, और बेसिकली अगर आप देखो तो लोग कहते हैं हमारे पास 10,000 रिटेलर्स हैं या 50,000
Hmm.
रिटेलर्स हैं, पर टोटल में देखोगे तो इंडिया के पास 50,000 रिटेलर्स ही नहीं है। तो
Exactly.
कहाँ से आ रहे हैं रिटेलर्स, बिकॉज इट्स अ डबल काउंटिंग, राइट? सो ये
Hmm.
वाली चीज हो जाती है। सो विवेक हैव अ वेरी ब्राइट फ्यूचर देन, विवेक एडटेक काफी ब्राइट है, क्या लगता
या,
है?
आपने अभी बोला इतने प्लेयर्स नहीं होने चाहिए, आपको पता है एटेक में कितने प्लेयर्स है?
Bro, what I feel in edtech, that like the placement is something which is going to be a golden gate, right? And that's where we are working on. I think the placement record's gonna be the like placement is something which is very like you need to place the students. At the same time, you need to understand that the students who are coming for the course or for the boot camp, they have an agenda to kickstart their careers, right? And if you're not able to help them out, your course or your boot camp will not going to be work out. So that's
Right.
something, that's the main agenda, and that's the golden gate. अगर उस golden gate को किसी ने crack कर लिया ना, तो जाके वो है bro, that's the main thing. And that's the gate that upgrade is also planning to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every cycle they run on the sprint that okay, now we have this much like number of students in a batch, now how are we going to place them?
Right.
So bro, insights here, and I'm going to give you a very solid insight, Vivek. You belong from the same industry, I'm going to give you the solid insight that you're going to be like, hell, ये चीज हो रही है क्या edtech के अंदर? So yeah, coming to the Pankaj sir.
Yes. Sharing my screen.
Guys, ये छोटी मोटी टॉक्स होती रहती हैं just because you need to get like I also going to share the some of the insights with you, right? कि कितना किसने पैसा उठाया है, कितना क्या है, I going to share the insights on your WhatsApp group, so you're going to get in updates कि अच्छा इतना पैसा इसने उठाया, इतना पैसा इसने उठाया। But पैसा उठाना एक like raising money is not the concern. The point is how many users you have and what kind of a like user base you have, and also at the same time what kind of a money you are bringing on the table. Maybe bringing or maybe
Absolutely.
making. That's it. Maybe the Kuku FM guys are doing very good, right? So they are working on a very different level, right?
Yeah, we'll
Pankaj sir,
probably be
Pankaj,
going for our
Pankaj sir,
next round of funding.
you guys are hiring for an APM role.
Yeah.
आपने बताया क्यों नहीं?
अरे मैंने आज ही पोस्ट देखा था एक्चुअली, मेरे
Mm,
कॉलीग ने डाला था।
so I gonna be I going to connect with you, right? So मुझे बात करनी है इस regarding भी.
ठीक, cool.
Perfect है guys, perfect है.
So this is one of the RFM tools where they have made your buckets for you. And let's take a look at all these names. So the bucket which has the high recency score and frequency score, they get marked as champions. Someone who has a high frequency but not that high recency, between 3 to 4, they get marked as loyal because they are coming a few times on your platform, right? There are customers who are very recent. They have a decent amount of frequency, but it's not highest. So they are potentially someone that you can convert to a champion or a loyal customer by different marketing campaigns. And then there are customers who have really low frequency but who are really new. So those are new customers. So that's why they have the highest points in recency. There's someone who has a low recency and low frequency. They are marked as hibernating. You've kind of lost them in a way. So you can try to get them back by different campaigns. There's someone who has a low frequency, a medium recency. These are guys who are about to sleep. So it's possible that a competitor can come and grab them. So is it possible for you to get more purchases out of them by different engagements or discounts and so on? So this is a segment where the customers have a huge amount of frequency, but they're not so recent anymore. So this huge amount of frequency happened sometime back, maybe 10 days back, 15 days back. Someone placed a lot of orders on Amazon one day, but the next 15, 20 days, they don't do anything. So is it possible that you can get this customer back? Because clearly the frequency of his purchases were high. So that means that you're going to end up getting a lot of revenue out of them. So you try to engage them with a different way. So CleverTap is one tool which can output buckets and cohorts very similar to this out of the box. once you have set up the analytics well. So let's take a look at each of these different buckets, right? Champions are your best customers. These are guys who bought most recently, most often they're heavy spenders. Reward them. You can try out new products with them. So if you're launching a new product, you can send them a communication that, hey, this is gonna come out. Are you interested in trying this? And because they are your champions, they'll even promote your brand. So launching a new product and having them adopt it first might be a good idea. There's potential loyalists, as you saw over here. They have a high recency but medium frequency. So you can try to upsell them different products and make them into a loyalist or a champion because they have come recently and they have a average frequency. You can offer them something like a loyalty program so their frequency increases. So have you guys seen Booking Genius, Swiggy, or Super, Zomato Gold? What are all of those things? Those are all loyalty programs which are made so that you continue to use that platform and increase your frequency over there. New customers are going to score high in recency because they are new, but they might not have a high frequency score. So you try to figure out how you can give them a good experience, retain them. Maybe you can give a special new sign up offer and start building a relationship. At-risk customers purchased often but haven't purchased recently. So this is at risk. The recency score is on the low side. The frequency score is on the somewhat average to high side. So this is at risk of becoming hibernated, which is why it's important to engage them before they touch that. So again, try to figure out a deal or a discount. Usually deals and discounts are the best ways to get these kind of users in. I don't know if you guys have seen this campaign that LinkedIn runs. I used to be a LinkedIn premium member when I was looking for a job, but as soon as I found my job, I don't find value in paying them 1500 per month because that's a expenditure of what around 18,000 per year. I don't find that valuable if I already have a job, right? So what they try to do with me is they keep sending me an email, Pankaj, up to 50% off on your membership renewal. This is how they're trying to get me to purchase their subscription by engaging me with a discount. Can't lose them. These guys used to visit and purchase often, but have not come recently. Bring them back with relevant promotions, run surveys to find out what went wrong. So this is a very important thing, right? They had the highest frequency, but suddenly the frequency is, oh, sorry, the recency has become less. So why did that happen? Can you perhaps interview them, talk to them, run a feedback form or a survey, get some data out of them as to the reason to understand why they've not come recently? Is it just because they're not interested right now? Or is it because a comparator is something that they're using right now? And if it's the comparator piece, then you can try to figure out if there is scope of improvement on your side in terms of the products you're keeping or in terms of features that you have to bring them back to your platform.
Sir, I have doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, how can we just send a survey to them, seeing that people think that everything is a spam and don't have time to just answer it?
You can send to the entire cohort and you'll never get a 100% response rate. You might get something like 10%, 15%, or something like that. But that's what you have to deal with. With a huge user base, that 10, 15% translates to hundreds and thousands of users. So it doesn't matter. But if it's a small user base, say you're dealing only with 100 users or 500 users, 1,000 users, then you can might as well pick up the phone and call them. It's easy.
Okay.
Hrithik, you wanted to say something? Okay, maybe not.
At the same time, it's also like relate to the what kind of a survey you are taking, right? So it's maybe about like if you are
Yeah.
taking the survey for the like if you're taking the feedback, or maybe you're taking the survey related to their choice, right? So like if they are facing any kind of a problem or something, it
That's
makes much
what's
more
important
sense.
to understand.
Right, it much
If they
it,
face a problem because of which they went away, then if it's a technical problem, then you can easily fix that because you have
hmm,
the tech team to help you to do that. If it's an experience problem, again, you can fix that. But if it's a more challenging problem, right? Like, for example, let's say I am a Xbox gamer, okay? And I purchase games a lot on Xbox and I frequently come over there. But one day I taste this game called God of War, okay?
I
After I
can't,
find
I
God of
can't
War,
relate with it, by the way, but yes.
let me dive deeper. Okay, forget God of War. One day I play the latest Spider-Man game on PS5.
Hmm.
Now, Spider-Man game is exclusive to PS. So even if your Xbox or Microsoft doesn't matter, you cannot get a Spider-Man game on your platform.
Hmm.
So
Got it.
figure out another way to get that customer on board, maybe with other discounts or other attractive things that are coming. But if their loyalty towards that exclusive content is high, then there's not much you can do. But
Hmm.
it's still important for you to understand that this has happened. So you can work on building a newer and exclusive content base in the future. You can have your own really good games which are in the leagues of Spider-Man, and you can build that loyalty, which is there in all the major gaming
Hmm.
platforms. Or even if you take a look at
Like in a
video streaming platform, Netflix has Stranger Things. Stranger Things has a lot of fans.
exactly. That where I was coming, right? So even in a Sony Live platform, right? So there was a scam 1992, and there's a
Amazing show. Yeah.
huge, yeah, amazing, right? So I really love that. So my Netflix is like, but still I'm
And
the
it was
user. But
very well
scam
received, right?
1992,
That in
exactly.
yeah.
So that's why that like a lot of people like now they have paid for the Sony Live until unless like they haven't like there were a lot of people who were not aware about the Sony Live till that like 1990 scam launched, right? So that's
Because they
also the
didn't have any good content, and even their marketing efforts, their user experience in the app is just poor everywhere.
Pankaj sir, you if you talk about the user base now, the most of the user base of Sony Live is actually the housewives or mostly the
Yep.
mid age women, right? So the who's the women who are actually now they are shifted to the OTT, but before that they were shifted to the like they were already using the
Yeah.
TV or like the commercial like Tata Sky or something. So
Yeah.
broadcast services to like to watch the सीरियल्स राइट सो ये सब जो टेली सोप्स होते हैं बेसिकली वो सब लोग वही मार्केट है बेसिकली राइट इन शॉर्ट सो
Yep.
दे
Yep.
they shifted that audience to on an OTT platform that whenever you want to watch the video, whenever you want to watch it again, so आप एक सोनी लिव कर सकते हो और you can actually watch it, right? So that's the thing. So it's also about the content, it's also about the USP at the same time. The survey, I think, the kind of us, if you are taking the feedback or maybe the survey, it also depends on what kind of a user you have. So if there's a housewife, so they're never going to like they never going to open the email, right? So मेरी
Yeah.
मम्मी ने कभी ईमेल नहीं खोला होगा. Correct. So
Same.
so in that case, if you're sending the survey on the email or something, they're never going to fill it out.
I
Maybe
guess it's
they
important to know what your user base will respond to. So, like in this
exactly,
example, if most of my users are housewives, it's going to be difficult for me to reach them via digital communication. They might
exactly.
need something like a phone call or a
Maybe a
pre-organized
pop-up,
visit
maybe a
or
pop-up, right? So maybe a pop-up while opening an app, you can do a pop-up, right? So even there's a high probability that they can actually can fill up the survey. But if you're sending on a mail or even if you're sending on somewhere else, like I don't know. I don't remember that my mother like opens a mail or something, right? So she never opened it.
mm,
So
yeah.
that's also the point. If you're sending the survey, you need to understand your target market. At the same time, you need to understand what kind of a survey or what kind of a feedback you are taking from the customer.
Even you can work on efforts like localizing the survey. So, for example,
Mm,
we have been rolling out forms or surveys in Hindi because we know we have a huge user base who can read
mm,
in Hindi. So even though it takes a bit more effort, like
but
not
it
everyone is
but it depends
very.
on your user, because you need to understand, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
even
absolutely.
there's a platform called Stage, right? So it's a witty feed platform, right? So Stage is actually a OTT platform for Haryanvi guys. So now
Yeah,
imagine, right? So now they have become so localized that they filling the survey and the each and every content on the app is actually written in Haryanvi. So now you can understand that the user is,
localization effort. Yeah,
so the user is a king in the market, guys. So basically you need to understand the user. अगर user के पास कुछ भी
and
है, कोई
it's
भी sense है, you
damn
need to reflex
tough
your,
to
you
do
need to,
this.
I think you need to bend and you need to be very flexible, right? I think that's something which is very important in a product management and a product, of course, in a product as well. So that's the thing, right? So if you're thinking कि अच्छा मैं ऑटो रिक्शा वालों के लिए बना रहा हूँ, तो you need to understand कि ऑटो रिक्शा वालों का mindset कैसा होगा.
Yeah,
You can't say कि अच्छा ठीक है, you pop up, you give up a pop up for the not Indian guys on an in like app में. अगर आपने pop up लिया है ऑटो ड्राइवर्स के लिए और अब वो इंग्लिश का है, तो नॉर्थ इंडियंस नहीं समझेंगे.
नहीं
But
समझेंगे.
if you take this in Bangalore, most of the auto drivers speaks in English, right? So that's also depends on the locality and everything. So it difference, it actually plays a very vital role. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you need to understand your customer end of the day. And that's very very hectic, right? So that's something, it's not very hectic, but at the same time it's very challenging.
So
Even if you observe in Zomato, they have a personalized, what you can say, regional uh, campaign. Sorry, not push notifications. So
Exactly.
yeah, when you change the location, right, from when you move from one place to other, the
uh
even the geo tagging they will do, and they will send a local language push
you,
if you haven't ordered for a, what you can say, a month or so.
and should Shipar, you know what, that guys, Domino's launched recently a Hindi application, right? तो अब डोमिनोज हिंदी में भी, अगर आपने ऐड देखा हो तो,
no, I haven't seen that ad.
like Domino's is actually shifted their, like they also shifted to the Hindi platform. So yeah. So
But
now you
yeah,
can,
localization is something that a lot of Indian apps are doing, and there are startups which focus only on localization also. Imagine.
exactly, true,
Yeah,
true,
but
true.
I think
I have one
Daily Hunt, and
problem.
Yeah, I think if,
Even in Cuckoo FM, we have 6 languages for our app right now, and we eventually want to go to 12, 18 languages. It's a huge challenge getting all your application copy in all the different languages because you need translators,
and
you need
Pankaj sir,
good
that's where the
expertise.
money comes, right?
Yeah,
Because ultimately you have the content right now. Like a lot of YouTubers, what they are doing is they have an English channel and they are starting with the Hindi channel as well, right? So they are doing
yeah,
it parallelly. So now you need to build up the audience, and now audience is something which is very important. If you start building the audience, you can expect some kind of a revenue, or maybe you can expect some kind of a turnover, and that's the main thing, right? So if you have attention, if you have users, or if you have anything, you can convert them as a customer anytime. Like if you start giving your platform for 55 rupees and per user, right? So now you have so much of users at the same point of time. If somebody comes to you at like at 55 rupees price point, they're gonna be start paying to you now.
yeah.
I think Aishwarya was saying something.
Yeah, with the localization of the app, I have just one problem. Like seeing that I live in Hyderabad and we speak Telugu, you
Yeah.
know?
Right, yeah, we know Hyderabad and we know Telugu,
Yeah.
Aishwarya.
I was in Hyderabad last weekend. Sorry, last weekend. I was in Banjara Hills. I had my mind
Oh,
blown. But yeah,
oh, because
coming
of
to your because of the development over there, I was completely shocked. I've never seen any place like that in
yeah.
India.
My house is just 10 kilometers to Banjara Hills.
Wow. अब पहले बताते ऐश्वर्या.
नहीं
But yeah, what
नहीं
was your
नहीं,
point around the
everything is developed.
localization and Telugu?
Yeah, so regarding the localization in Telugu, I have, I have the option in school to learn Telugu or to not learn Telugu. There are some people who speak in Telugu
But
and
don't know how to read
they,
and write.
And I am in the middle. I can read, but it will take time for me. And there are friends of mine who talk in Telugu, but like they cannot understand what is like written.
Written,
So
written.
maybe can give them while signing up only option
Yeah,
to
usually that
choose
is the
between.
approach. While sign up or before the sign up, you let them decide the language in which they want to use the application.
Yeah, regarding the localization, also, there's something like this in South
Hmm.
states where, even I'm much more comfortable reading Hindi than Telugu.
Wow, I did
And
not know
even
that.
even in North India also, like we can understand Hindi, right? So we are coming from a very, like, Hindi is something which is very important, right? So
Yeah.
Hindi चलती है,
Yeah, that
but
is
we
true,
can't write Hindi, right? So
but
we
it's not.
हम
So
हिंदी भी नहीं
this
लिख सकते
is
ढंग से.
the challenge we face at Kuku FM. Everyone speaks Hindi, okay? But not everyone knows how to write Hindi, especially Hindi
Exactly,
copy. So we have
exactly.
a dedicated person to write Hindi translations for us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Similarly for other languages also.
व- वैसे भी हैदराबाद तो भाग्य नगर बनने वाला है ना. But yeah, jokes apart, guys. We were going to cut this thing, right? Yeah.
Cool.
Handing over the session to you, sir.
Yeah. Hmm. User behavior analysis is just a method of you understanding what is the actions your users taking on the platform, and you can do this by different means. So the idea is that you can obviously run feedback and surveys and can take a look at RFM, but it's also important to look at their qualitative behavior. What are they doing on your application? You can get a quantitative view by looking at funnels. But did they get stuck on a sign up form because there was a mismatch in their expectation of how or what their password requirement is, for example? They drop off because of that. Maybe you can observe someone doing these things by analytics tools and then figure that out. Try to identify points in your journey where they're struggling, getting stuck, or is there a scope for you to improve that particular point where they're getting stuck? Get insights on what they're interested in. Is there a particular product or content that you like a lot? And can you promote that and make it easy for them to access that? Are there particular pages on your platform which you have just launched? You would want to see how they're performing. So, if me as a Netflix platform, today I have TV shows and movies, tomorrow I add another category, and I would want to see the performance of that page. How many hits is it getting? How much usage is it getting? What's the traction over there? So, how do you generally look at user behavior, right? You look at session recordings. Maybe you can record the entire session of them using your application. So there are tools like Hotjar which allow you to do this. They take a video recording of the customer's browser or mobile app session, and each tap or each mouse click is recorded, and you can get a view of that. So you can actually see a video if they actually ended up struggling somewhere, or if you created a page and you felt that, hey, why did this particular feature that I added not get enough attention? Then you can maybe see that your customer, while they're using your website, your new feature ends up being in a blind spot. So they don't even notice it. So it's bad placement. And thereby you create an action play where you relocate your new feature to a more visible area so that your user can actually see it. You can track events of your user. So any good analytics tool like CleverTap or Mixpanel or Amplitude or Google Analytics, you can add events tracking where small things happening in your application can be tracked. So let's take an example of YouTube. User lands on home screen, there can be an event which is fired, which is called home screen visited. User clicks on a video thumbnail, there can be an event which is fired, which is called video thumbnail clicked. User actually lands on that video page, you can have an event fired called video page viewed. Then the video actually starts playing, you can have an event called video starts playing. Then the user clicks on the like button below the video, there can be an event called like button click, and so on and so forth. Depending on how elaborate or extensive you want your events tracking to be, you can set it up that way. But the hygiene is generally don't over track things, because your events will get cluttered and then it might get hard for you to track everything properly. Also, it's a good hygiene to keep the event names something that anyone can understand. It should not need a developer or a data analyst to understand it, but someone like a PM or a CEO or even someone from marketing should be able to look at that event name and directly understand what it means. A tool like Hotjar can give you a heat map, which can again help you track if there are blind spots on a website or what are the hot spots on a website where most of your user attention is going, or where the clicks are happening the most, or where the taps are happening the most. You can track page performances and page tracking. Like I can see as a Netflix PM probably that movies gets X percentage of clicks in terms of the page, and TV shows gets Y percentage of clicks amongst all the sign-ins that are coming every day. Any questions around these? Madhura,
No, sir.
Vivek.
No, no.
Okay, my earphones are dying because almost 2 hours are there. Let me just switch off from these. Cool. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Oh. So this was just a random tidbit I found. Um, Organizations leveraging customer behavior data can outperform peers by 85% in sales growth. 85% is a huge number. If you have some kind of a behavior analysis advantage over a competitor, you're more likely to perform much better than your competitor in terms of sales. Because you have a deeper insight into what your users want, what attracts them, what is something that they go for, and so on and so forth. Someone who's not taking that effort and simply he might be just shooting in the dark with their products. That's why a lot of the data driven, I would say trends have come along. Like, I would say being data informed is a better thing to do than being data driven, because data can make you blind as well. You might miss out on the small nitty gritties that are happening, which you can actually track in more from qualitative data or a user interview or a user session recording. So, yeah, with that, we have come to the end of the session. And if you guys have any sort of questions, please ask me. I'll be happy to answer them.
I don't really have any questions.
So
Okay.
Vivek must be having any doubt, right? So I think
No, actually, no, because
सब clear है.
clear nahi hai. The thing is, a lot of things are new for me. Probably I'll, I've taken all the notes. I'll search a few things and probably come back on the WhatsApp.
Perfect,
Okay.
Vivek. गाइस देखो दो चीजों में होता है क्लियर. पहले तो ऑल क्लियर, दूसरा ऑल क्लियर. सर मुझे बता दो कौन सा क्लियर है. श्रीपाद, व्हाट अबाउट यू मैन?
I think I have to work on those things because few things I was working practically, right?
पंकज सर, इनको
So
इनको असाइनमेंट कैसे दे सकते हैं सर कोई इस चीज का? आरएफएम स्कोर का चलो असाइनमेंट तो है मेरे पास, बट द पॉइंट है कि आरएफएम स्कोर तो सिर्फ कैलकुलेशन के लिए काम आएगा इनके लिए. बाकी कैसे क्या इनको कैसे प्रैक्टिकल चीजें दें, ये चीजें कोहर्ट एनालिसिस हो गया, ये सब चीजें कैसे प्रैक्टिकल कर सकते हैं लोग?
Your LTV calculation, if we can also figure out assignment around maybe Google Analytics, the demo account, you know.
हम्म.
yeah. Even they offer a free course on that Google Analytics. This thing. We
There
can
is
do
a
that.
free demo account that people can use. So in that, we can have a question around, pull up the numbers of which geographies are accessing this website the most, what are the demographics, and make a report on that. That could be an
हम्म.
assignment.
Yeah, during lockdown I did that. Like hopefully it will be. add-on thing.
Perfect. So let's plan something, Pangal sir, because I think there's a lot of practical needs to be done, right? I think even in a cohort analysis, even in an RFM score, right? So I think
Yeah.
I can share some of the problem statement, but at the same time, RFM score is something which is like it depends, right? So like in a product management, if you have a KPI to like measure the RFM, that's totally okay. मतलब ये depend करता है company to company पे RFM भी. आप
Yeah.
है ना KPIs पे डिपेंड करता है. So let's do one thing, guys. I'm going to share the assignment tomorrow, right? And if you have any doubts, I am also going to share the recording. So if you have any doubts, just let us know. We are more than happy, and let's plan some guest lectures as well. So I think जैसे ही सब लोग होते हैं available, we can plan with the guest lecture, and you can ask your doubts, or even we can discuss about few things, right? So yeah. On that note, we are wrapping up the session until next time.
Cool.
Right, thank you so much, Pankaj sir, for giving such a nice session and giving us such a kind of a massive value. So on that note, Vivek, Usha, Shripad, Aishwarya, you're signing up.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Hrithik.
thank you
Yeah.
guys, thank you, Pankaj sir, thank you for giving such a great time. Perfect, guys, take care, man, stay safe, guys, stay safe.